Hello, everybody, and welcome back to KMIH Mercer Island. You are on a brand new show today, folks. What you are listening to today is Stop Looking at Me Like That, the show where we analyze and we discuss some of the weirdest lore that we found in our favorite fictional franchises. I am Andrew Pearson. I am joined by my host today, Mr. Harry Gollin. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Harry Gollin. The franchise I'll be talking about today is Star Wars, and there's plenty of weird stuff to get into.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So, I'm going to ask you two sort of guiding questions before we start, Harry, and then you can
Okay.
just dump whatever it is you're gonna dump on me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, the first is what is the topic that we're going to be talking about?
Okay, so it's going to be the lore, and I'm going to go to the first lore that's not just bizarre and spread out, and it's basically the Knights of the Old Republic video game.
Okay.
And it's the story, and I'm going to give some background context that isn't in the game, but is in the extended universe, but it's basically centered around the story of the video game.
Gotcha. And just as a second thing, where does this fit in the overarching Star Wars lore? Like, what's the timeline and
Oh,
stuff like that?
all right. Let me help you out here because this is bizarre. But basically, the entire Star Wars universe has been built around a timeline called BBY,
Oh my God. Oh,
before the Battle of Yavin, which isn't A New Hope when they blow up the first Death Star, right? Okay.
so everything takes place before Episode 4.
Yeah. All of this is 4,000 years before Palpatine reorganizes the Republic into the first galactic
What?
empire. 4,000 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so because basically the logic was if we make it so far away, we don't have to worry about any implications of our game. So they basically just set it 4,000 years before the rise of the Galactic Empire.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So that's where it fits in the general timeline. So one of the earliest properties. There's a few others that are a little earlier, but as Star Wars properties and extended universe stuff goes, it's pretty early.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So you ready?
start.
Okay. So how do I start this? Okay. Basically, so there's these guys called the Mandalorians, right? And I'm sure did you watch the TV show or have you seen
I
any of
did
that?
not watch the TV show.
Okay, basically there was this big like reformation in the Mandalorian society, probably about 100 or so years before the events of the game start. Basically, where they elevate war to like basically being a holy art, right? And so they're like, oh man, we got to fight some war. And then they get roped in to fight with some Sith Lord named Exar Kun. And they're like, oh man, we're really strong compared to the weak Republic. And basically, what happens is now Mandalore the Ultimate, who's the new leader. That's the title they give their leaders is Mandalore.
The
Um,
ultimate?
the Ultimate, yeah. There's Mandalore the Indomitable, Mandalore the Ultimate, and then I think there's one called the Preserver or something like that. But that's not the point. Um, basically,
What?
they decide they're going to attack a bunch of worlds on the border of the Republic, and the Republic's like, nah, this is fine. Nothing will happen. They wouldn't dare. Well, they do dare, and the Jedi Council they sense some weird shit, so they're like, we're not going to help the Republic. And I mean, as you can probably guess, without the aid of the Jedi, it goes very, very poorly, you know.
Okay.
And so basically, then this splinter group of Jedi under the command of someone named Revan decides to go off and fight without the Council's blessing, and they turn the tide of the war. They win the war, but there's several things that are kind of notable. One, Revan slowly sort of goes further and further down the path of the dark side during the entire war because he starts using more and more brutal tactics to win. Also, they commit a giant war crime at the end of it to end the war. How do I explain this? Okay, so Malachor 5 is a planet, right?
Okay.
And basically, there's a Jedi general who's relevant in the sequel game named Mitra Surik, and basically, she is command of a small fleet, a fleet that's pretty vulnerable, right? And it's used to bait the Mandalorians into a trap, and they arrive with all their remaining fleet to try and destroy the Republic fleet, right? And then they release a super weapon called the Mass Shadow Generator, which basically creates a gravitational pull that pulls all the ships together and rips them apart, and also destroys the planet and kills probably 10, 15,000 people.
That's so convoluted.
Right? It's pretty convoluted, but Yeah, so they committed a bunch of war crimes, but everyone's like, okay, but you know what? They're a hero of the Republic. They're above criticism. Everyone's super happy. But then Revan and Malik being his apprentice, or well, his name is Alec at that point. It's a whole thing. Just he has a best friend named Alec who goes and is like his second in command throughout the war, and they go to the unknown regions beyond where the Republic knows, and they come back Sith Lords, and no one knows why they turned to Sith Lords in the game. Though this is where it gets interesting because there's two logical explanations. One is the extended universe, and one is the now canon one.
What?
So
Oh my gosh. No.
it's gonna make your head hurt. All right, so the original like explanation, which is explained in the original second game, is that Revan saw the power of a secret Sith empire and decided he needed to reorganize the Republic into a much stronger empire under his command. So he didn't fall to the dark side; he chose the dark side, right? But now, canonically, there was just a secret Sith emperor who was so powerful he tricked Revan. That's the canon.
Why?
Good.
Okay, why was the canon changed? First of all,
because so the Sith Emperor, whose name is Vitiate, who Revan either A saw and was afraid of, and then decided to rally the Republic, or B was tricked by, is the main villain of EA's MMORPG called Star Wars: The Old Republic. So to make their villain look scarier, they made him oh yeah, he kicked the shit out of Revan, he was just, So I think it was just to make their villain look worse. You know what I mean? To make him look more scary.
Yeah, but who split the timeline? Who split the realities?
I believe it was EA. I think it was just EA when they released their oh wait, no, I think it was technically there was a Revan novel, and that novel technically was the first one to say that
novel.
Oh god, there's tons of Star Wars novels. I actually have a few. So, I mean, I should really tell you about them. We'll get to Darth Bane and Darth Plagueis, don't you worry. Not in this episode. They're a few thousand years on. Don't worry about that.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's so much. All right. Basically, Revan returns as a Sith Lord with his apprentice, Darth Malik, right? Sounds good. Right, so what is Revan going to do? Well, he basically just... All the troops are loyal to Revan and not the Republic because, he turned the war around. So... Basically, the Sith turn around, but they always have like this infinite number of ships. They never run out of ships. They have tons of troops, right? Sounds good. The Sith are about to win. Except there's this one wrinkle in Revan's master plan to take over the Republic.
Okay.
Basically, there's this Jedi Padawan named Bastila who has a power called Battle Meditation, which is just like, I don't know what to say it is. It's basically, it makes an army stronger, faster, more lucky, etc., right?
Okay.
And so... The outgunned Republic forces win numerous victories when Bastila is in command because she does her battle meditation stuff, and then they win. But they still don't think they're going to. The Jedi Council's like, no, we're still not going to win unless we capture Revan. So they send an elite strike team of Jedi that get yeeted immediately by Revan, except for Bastila. But then Malik, sensing an opportunity, fires on Revan's ship, right? And so Revan's unconscious, probably dead, and Bastila is alive. Right?
Probably dead.
We'll get to that. Basically, so now let's cut to the beginning of the game.
Wait, we haven't gotten to the beginning?
No, this is all backstory.
Are you kidding? No. Oh my god.
All right, so you got that?
I think I got that. I think I got some of that.
Mandalorian's attack, Jedi war hero, falls to the dark side after winning the war.
Yeah,
has a bunch
the Sith man, the now Sith man is presumed dead by an elite gamer assassins, but from the Jedi.
Except they're all dead except Bastila because Revan just wrecked them.
So everyone's dead.
Everyone except Bastila,
and that's probably Revan. Like.
Probably Revan. All right, so let's cut to the beginning of the game. So you create your character.
Too early in the morning
stats.
for this. Oh.
All right, so you create your character, right?
Okay.
And then you wake up on a Republic ship called the Endar Spire, and your bunkmate runs in and he's like, the Sith are attacking our ship, and then we're gonna get blown up. So we just need to make it to the bridge to make sure Bastila, who is commanding this fleet on the Endar Spire, is okay, and then we're gonna get on the ship, right? Right? Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so you fight your way through the ship, and then it's revealed, and then a pilot named Karth Onasi, who's one of the few veterans of the Mandalorian Wars who sticks with the Republic, is like, Bastila's off the ship. You need to get to the escape pods. Sure enough, you go to the bridge, and no one's there, right? A bunch of Sith guys are there, and you have to fight them. But that's okay, because you beat them, because it's a video game.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so basically, after you leave the bridge, there's a dark Jedi who's later revealed to be Malik's apprentice, Darth Bandon, who's blocking the way. And so Trask sacrifices himself by running in and locking the door behind him so you can flee. So basically, you run through the rest of the Endar Spire, and you escape through an escape pod onto the planet Terrace with Karth, okay? The pilot from before.
Okay.
At this point, it's worth mentioning that your character has no memory of how they got there. They just vaguely remember a few
Oh,
details
of course
about their
they
past.
have amnesia.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course
Okay.
they do.
So basically, you land on. So then you wake up. You have this weird dream where you know how I described that whole strike team getting yeeted by Revan, but then everyone's presumed dead except for Bastila at the end of it.
Okay.
You have that dream. The player has that dream.
Oh, and it's
After
assumed
these-
you were on the elite gamer squad.
All right, so we'll see where this goes. But you wake up and you get some foreshadowing from Karth and all that. But Karth is like, we really need to look for Bastila because that was the only place any of the escape pods could have gone. So she's probably going to be down somewhere in Terrace. And the thing about Terrace is that there's 3 levels, right? There's the upper city, which is like Metropolis, and it's all the rich people. You have the lower city, which is a bunch of gangs. And you have the lowest city. It's called like the outcast village in the sewers, where it's just like a bunch of people and also some nasty monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're rolling out, and you go into an apartment, and you realize that the whole planet's under martial law, right? The Sith are patrolling everywhere. They shoot anyone who opposes them, and basically you get a disguise by stealing some Sith uniforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you go down to the Undercity, not the lowest city, but the Undercity, where you meet Gadden, who's the leader of the Hidden Beck. So let me emphasize here. There's 2 big gangs in the Undercity. There's the Hidden Becks, who are the good gang, right? They're super nice. And you have the Black Vulkars, who are bad.
Is it because they're black, Harry?
Hey, in fairness, Gadden is black, and he's a good guy. He's the leader of the Hidden Becks. Also, most of the Black Vulkars are this really ugly alien race I can't remember.
So you don't like aliens, I see.
Oh, there's this guy on the streets of Terrace who just screams like, "A plague walks among us," and the aliens.
Is it like the Oblivion voice lines from the characters? Like, stop right there, criminal scum. Is it stuff like that?
If you ever talk to a Sith guard, he'll be like, "Stay out of our way, citizen. We have official Sith business. You'll stay out of our way if you know what's good for you." And you can walk by with Bastila, who's like the key to the Republic war effort, and Karth, a war hero, all while wearing Republic equipment, and they will just still say the same thing. It's very funny. It's very funny. They're not the brightest. Anyways, you're like, "Hey, Gadden, I need to find Bastila," and he's like, "Oh, maybe I did hear about some escape pods, but you're gonna have to do something for me." And basically, there's a racing game called Swoop Racing. Basically, it's just pod racing, but slower and older, right? So it's just off-brand pod racing, okay?
All right.
And they have this prototype engine that could go really fast and win the annual Swoop race, but the Black Vulkars stole it. So you need to break into the Black Vulkar base and take it back. And basically, it becomes clear that you can't make it through the door, so you have to go through the sewers to go find the back door, okay?
All right.
All right, so you go down into the sewers, and there's a group of people called the Outcasts, and they're just like living a very pitiful life. They're not allowed to leave their really crappy village. It's just very depressing. But eventually you go out and you meet these like creatures called Rack Ghouls, who are basically, they're just monsters, right? But if they hit you, they'll infect you. In the game, that just means that you get poisoned every time they hit you, just about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you fight your way through the sewers. Except, well, before you reach the sewers, there's a Twi'lek named Mission Vow, and she's like, "Hey, the Gamorreans, who are the big pig people from Jabba's palace, if you remember.
Okay.
A group of Gamorreans kidnapped my friend Zalbar, who's a Wookiee, right?
Yeah, I know what a Wookiee is. I know what that one is.
Good. Anyway, so basically, she knows how to break. So basically, the back door of the Vulkar base is guarded by a ray shield, and she's the only one who knows how to take the ray shield down. But in order for her to take the ray shield down, you need to rescue her friend. Okay. So you break in, you kill a bunch of Gamorreans, And Zalbar saved. He swears a life debt to you, which means he's going to travel with you for the rest of the game, right?
And
Um,
at what point are we in the game? Are we like halfway through the game, or are we like first two
no.
hours in?
Yeah, just about 2 hours is about right,
Oh,
actually.
you gotta be
Thing,
kidding me.
things speed up, I promise you. But Twilight Terrace is the densest of all the planets. Basically, so you break through, and then mission's like, hey, I'll take down that ray shield for you. Also, there's a whole side quest where you can get like a series of journals that give the outcasts a map to a better life. You can do that, but it's optional. So, that's the thing that's worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, though, you break into the base, and then you realize that there's one last sort of guard, one last piece of, one last obstacle, really, to get into the Volker base, and it's a Rancor. Basically, you just got to stick a grenade in a pile and also spray some odor on it so that the Rancor thinks it's food, and then just eat it and die, right? Great stuff.
Epic.
Uh, indeed. Uh, and basically, okay. So then you get into the Black Volker base and you break through. You kill everyone in your way, and eventually you reach basically the swoop engine and the people guarding it. And the guy who's guarding it makes you an offer, basically saying, "Hey, if you go around and you kill all the hidden Becks, I'll pay you a lot of money, right?"
Okay.
But let's assume you're doing a light side playthrough, right? Because that's what I usually do. And so that's how I remember it. So basically, you say no, you're a bad person. You fight, you win, you take the swoop engine back. So you run back to the hidden Beck base, right? And you talk to Gad, and he's like, okay, I'm glad you got me the engine, but I need you to do one more thing for me before I can get you, help with Bastila. And he explains that Bastila is actually the prize for the annual swoop race. So like the annual swoop race is such a big deal that each gang is expected to put up, some sort of prize, whether that be like a slave or a lot of money, something like that, right? And so
Okay.
this year, Bastila, who they only think she's a Republic officer, they don't realize she's a Jedi. She's the prize, right? And so you need to. So it turns out that because the prototype engine, though being very fast, is kind of dangerous and not tested, it is a prototype after all. Gan's like, you're gonna race it. So you do, and you win. But then the leader of the Black Vulkars, Brejik, is like, no, I won't give you your prize. So you have to kill him. And then Bastila comes back, right? So then you return to your hideout where you first woke up, and you have an argument with Karth and Bastila because that's what they do. They argue a lot. And you realize that some things need to be done. You need to figure out a way to get off this planet, right? Because you're spending all your time trying to find her, and you don't know how to get off the planet.
Okay.
Okay. So then you go and you exit your little room, and some guy walks by you and he's like, "Hey, Canderous Ordo wants to see you." Now, you could have met Canderous. You've probably seen him before in the game, but you've never really talked to him all that much, right? So you don't know that much about him. So you go to the cantina out of curiosity, and Canderous reveals himself to be a Mandalorian mercenary who's working for the local crime boss, Davik. And basically, he says, I know the Sith are going to do something really bad to this planet. I need to get off. So I'll make you a deal. If you can break into the Sith base and steal the launch codes so we don't get blasted, I will sneak you into Davik's base so we can steal his ship. All right.
Uh,
So,
I love how you say "all right" like I responded.
I mean, it's a little convoluted, but basically, you break into the Sith base, you beat a bunch of much harder units as the game's in difficulty increases significantly for a short little period, and you kill the Sith governor, and you steal the launch codes and get a ton of credits. And so then you meet Canderous again, and he's like, I know that you broke in. Great job. Now I'm going to pretend to take you in I'm taking you into Davik's mansion, and I'm going to pretend that you are a new recruit. And so sure enough, you come in and Davik's like, oh, I'm always looking for new recruits. And you also meet this bounty hunter named Calo Nord, who's, he's a jerk, basically.
Gotcha.
And he hates Canderous. Basically, so you're stuck in your room. So you do the same thing you do like in the Sith base, but you just fight your way through it, killing all the guards, and eventually you deactivate hangar security, get the ship unlocking codes from a previous pilot, and then you run into the ship, and Davik and Calo are there as well, and they're like, you can't run away with our ship. So you beat them up, and then the Sith bombardment seemingly kills Calo Nord, and you definitely killed Davik Kang, right? So you run away on Davik's ship, which is called the Ebon Hawk, and you run away to a Jedi enclave on Dantooine, right? Just the end of Terrace, which is the first planet and the largest planet.
That was the first planet?
Don't worry, all the other planets are much shorter, but that's the one.
Oh.
All right, all right. So that.
No.
All right, so let's see here. Yeah, so you arrive on Dantooine, and all the Jedi Masters are like, "Oh, you're very strong in the Force, but you're so old. I don't want to train you." But they train you anyway. So you learn the Force, and then you go out there and you learn the Jedi code. You build your lightsaber. It's always cool, great stuff. But then something very important happens. Basically, they're like, "You need to." There's a grove in Dantooine that's been tainted. It's got the dark side in it, and they won't tell you what's tainted the grove, but you need to solve it. So you go through, there's a bunch of side quests you can do, but mainly you fight your way through a surprisingly aggressive wildlife, right? And then you finally come to this former Jedi named Juhani, who is like, I killed my master, I'm embracing the dark side, but she's not actually that strong. So you beat her pretty easily, right?
Okay.
And then you can either kill her, or you can, redeem her to the light, and then she'll become a companion if you redeem her to the light. But if you want to go full dark side, you just kill her, right?
Understood.
So the Jedi Council will respond in two ways. If you kill her, they're like, "Oh, you didn't do a very good job, but I guess you did cleanse the grove, so I guess I have to promote you." But they'll be very happy if you just, redeem her. So then you're called in. You and Bastila this time share a vision of Revan and Malik visiting a weird ancient ruin, right? And because you and Bastila both shared the same vision, the Jedi Council calls you in, and you're like, and they say, you both need to investigate this ancient ruin. So you go and investigate this strange ruin, right? And you discover several things. One, the ancient ruin dates back 15,000 years from the events of that game.
What? What?
Yeah, yep. And basically, there was this ancient empire of fish people called the Rakata who committed various genocides. They were just an early empire, right? But anyway, so they built this thing called the Star Forge, and you don't know what that is exactly, but you know it's some sort of super weapon. Well, you break through, you finish the challenges, and you get to the last room, which is a map, and you need to collect maps from several other planets to basically find your way, okay?
All right.
So you see the other planets are like Kashyyyk, Tatooine, Manan, and Korriban. So you fly around to those planets. So on Kashyyyk, you go and you have to negotiate politics between the Wookiees, because one side is the Wookiees who want to collaborate with a big corporation and sell other Wookiees into slaves, and the other ones are just, drive the slavers off Kashyyyk. So you do what you want to do, but eventually, the one thing you do on Kashyyyk that's really important is you meet an old Jedi, sort of Jedi, named Jolie, who he's one of the funniest companions in the game, but basically he helps you get through. He will stay with you for the rest of the game. And so you get your star map on Kashyyyk. You can go to Tatooine, right? And you have to kill a dragon, but you lure it out into some mines and you kill a dragon.
I don't remember dragons in Star Wars.
So
Wait, what?
Okay, so they're
no.
called crate dragons. They live in caves, and they don't fly. They live in caves. Think of them like a giant, and I mean giant Komodo dragon, right? Like just massive. That's basically what they are. And so you kill it with a bunch of mines because, whatever. And then you find another star map, and then you go to Korriban. I mean, let me emphasize, you can go to these 4 planets in any order you want. You can go but I'm just going in a random order. So then you go to Korriban, and you have to pretend to be a Sith, and eventually you go into a tomb, which has the star map in it, right? Cool. So you have the star map, and then you leave Korriban and you go to Manan. Manan is sort of a weird planet because the people in Manan, the Selkath, are sort of neutral. They're allegedly neutral, right?
Okay.
So you have to kind of negotiate those politics, and you can't just kill people in the streets anymore, which is very sad. But basically, you break into the Sith base. Then you, to help the Republic embassy, the guy, the ambassador, he wants you to break into the Sith base, and in exchange, he'll give you a submersible to head down to the seafloor, because you get a vision, told you that it was at the bottom of the seafloor. So you break into the Sith base, they catch you, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But you can just say, "But the Sith kidnapped youth to train them in the dark side," and then they'll be like, "Okay, we'll let you off then." So you go back to the embassy, and you go into the submersible, and you go down, all the way down, and to the Republic base, because the Republic had been setting up a secret base, right? Except now the secret Republic base is overwhelmed with insane Selkath, right? And they're killing people. They're killing people, right? It's like an apocalyptic base. There's a bunch of crazy Selkath, screaming, it's a whole thing. And you fight your way through that, and then you go out in a special suit to go out into the bottom of the seafloor, and you get the Jedi, and you get the star map, right? You can also either decide to kill the giant shark, which is the ancestor of the entire Selkath race, or you can save it. So you can kill it or save it, and if you kill it, you're banned from Manon permanently. But if you save it, they'll let you come back.
Okay.
Now, one thing I should also mention is that when you have completed 3 of those planets and you got 1 left, your ship will be captured by Malik on his flagship, the Leviathan, and you go through, and basically the same thing happens. You're imprisoned, you break out, you fight your way through, but several things happen. One, you have to fight the commander of Malik's forces, Admiral Kareth, and he will tell Karth a secret about your identity, but you don't know what that identity is. So Karth starts looking really angrily at you. And then you have to keep going because the Leviathan, you gotta get off the Leviathan. You gotta go back to the Ebon Hawk. And so you're running to the Ebon Hawk when Malik appears, and you fight Malik and you beat him, but he tells you the truth. You are Revan, right?
Ah, I see.
And the Jedi, Bastila brought you back barely alive. She saves your life. That's why you share visions with her, is because she brought you back to life. Basically.
Wait, but what about her bringing you back to life gives you her visions?
Because essentially, so the convoluted logic is that she gave a piece of herself to you, I guess. Sort of like that.
Oh my god.
So you have a forced bond. You're linked. Your fates are linked. All right. So, but they also
How are your fates Oh no.
She brings you back barely alive, and the Jedi wipe your mind completely and program a new identity where you're just a Republic soldier, right? And then Bastila sacrifices herself so you can escape. So Bastila is now imprisoned by Malik. And so you go to your last planet, you find star map, as I previously mentioned, and then you find out where you need to go. There's a planet that's only called the Unknown Planet because it's not known. No one knows where it is. And it's actually the homeland. It's the homeland of the Rakata Empire, the one who built the Starforge. That's why it's, center of the map.
Mm-hmm.
And you go there, and you immediately crash because there's some sort of field that basically makes any ship that enters the atmosphere crash, right? Okay, so you have now 2 missions. You need to figure out what the hell's going on and how to get up to the Starforge, which you've now realized is up there, is up in space nearby, and you need to get some parts to repair your ship so you can fly, okay?
All right.
So basically, assuming you're doing the good guy thing, you can go and there are 2 clans. There's the clan of the elders, who are like the traditionalists, and then there's the clan of the One.
They really just keep coming, don't they?
They really do. But we're at the very end of the game now. So basically, the One is just a fascist dictator. So you can either kill the One and help the elders, or you can kill the elders, help the One. And whoever you help will let you into a temple, and you need to get into that temple. Also, they will give you some scrap metal to repair your ship. So basically, you have your ship repaired, and then you enter the temple. Now, you're supposed to enter alone, but then you're allowed to bring companions because they don't really fight you if you do. So you do. And you fight your way through the temple, and you face off against Bastila, who has now fallen to the dark side on the roof of the temple. And you beat her, so she runs away onto the Starforge. But now that you've got your repaired ship, you return, and you fly up. You call in the Republic Navy for a final assault on the Starforge. And it's revealed what the Starforge is. So the Starforge is a factory, a massive factory that can produce infinite numbers of ships. Okay? So you gotta destroy the Starforge, or you will never win. So you break onto the Starforge with some Jedi who are like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you," but they die immediately because they're just bad.
They're useless.
And you fight. Exactly, they are completely useless. So you fight your way through, and occasionally it cuts to these cutscenes where Malik's like, "Yes, throw the apprentices at them, throw random." He just throws everything against you, and so you end up fighting. It's actually pretty difficult because they just throw a ridiculous number of units at you, but you fight your way through, and eventually you have your final confrontation with Malik, where you defeat him, and he's sort of like, "Oh, I always knew your fate was greater than mine, Revan. I should never have tried to resist that." And then he dies.
It's a bro.
And then the Starforge, big bruh, and then the Starforge blows up like Death Star style, and you leave. And especially if you did the light side ending, like I've been talking about, you get hailed as a hero of the Republic, and things are going great. And that's the end of the Kotor story.
Now, I know this is gonna sound really terrible. Who's Malik again?
Oh, he's just Revan's friend turned apprentice.
Friend turned apprentice.
Yeah, when they went to the unknown regions and then they became Sith, Malik became the apprentice because Revan was stronger.
Sure. Just
yeah.
sure.
No, I mean, listen. I have steeped myself in this lore for years, and it's still very confusing to me. So, if this doesn't make sense, it's kind of how it is.
I had
That's just
like 5 races get thrown into my face. There's
yeah,
like
yeah,
5 planets in this game.
yeah. I mean, some of them existed before, like
Tatooine, I know.
Tatooine and Kashyyyk was the Wookiee planet. I don't know if we've ever been there, but we'd at least heard about it.
I
Technically, we
you go there like twice. I remember it was
in
one.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, once in Revenge of the Sith and another one in the Disney sequels.
Maybe they did good. I
Like
don't
like
really
to
remember.
pick up Chewbacca or something.
Yeah, I don't really remember the Disney sequel series all that well.
Those suck.
Um,
Those suck.
Not very good. Not very good. But and Dantooine is technically mentioned because Leia tells the Empire that the Rebel base is on Dantooine, but then they just blow up Alderaan or homeworld. But that's different. I mean, it's not really talking about Dantooine. It's talking about, it just mentions it. So yeah, basically, it's a bunch of new stuff. It's basically a whole different universe because it's so long ago.
I see. But I mean, did
Do you?
did you enjoy it? Did you enthrall yourself in the story?
I like the story. I like convoluted stories. So I had quite a lot of fun. But
Oh,
I
then
can
you'd have
see
a field day with Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Well, I wonder. I've never played King. I've never played or heard of. Well, I've heard of Kingdom Hearts, but I've never played it or looked at the story. So
The story is terrible in those games, dude.
Oh boy.
But it's like they set up all these plot threads for a decent story, and then they just make the most convoluted system out of everything. It's hilarious.
Good stuff. All right. So now I will tell you that there's a sequel to this game with an even more convoluted story.
Oh dear God.
I don't think.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can handle that this morning.
I know, right? I think I should give you some time to process this one because KOTOR 2's story very much builds on KOTOR. So you need to know the first story, or at least have a general sense of it to understand the second one.
Okay, so from what I'm gathering, is that beginning of the game,
Yeah.
big bad Sith man who used to be Jedi gets
Yeah.
game ended by an elite gamer squad of Jedi, and is presumed dead. Then you start the game. You are a Jedi soldier who has amnesia because of course you do.
Yeah. Technically, you don't know you're a Jedi, right? You're just a Republic soldier. But yes, you are Force sensitive, so you will be a Jedi.
And then you go throughout the first planet trying to escape, correct? And finding allies along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The other thing is you have to rescue Bastila, right?
Okay. So you rescue Bastelman. And
That's right.
and you go to 4 different planets, 2 of which people actually care about. And it's mostly just a bunch of rescue missions and escaping and finding your ships again, or finding ways to smuggle yourself out of said planets, correct?
Usually you don't have to smuggle yourself out. Usually. Though yes, it does happen on some planets. Korriban specifically, you have to smuggle yourself out because it's the Sith world. But yes, essentially, yeah.
And then you go to out of map world where you crash land. You have to fight your friend, and then the game ends.
Then you go up into the space station and you kill the big bad, and then the game ends. Yeah, basically.
Okay, I think I got the key points.
You caught on pretty quickly. I got to give you that thing. The only thing you didn't mention was that event in between your the 4 planets. If you've completed 3, then Malik will appear and he'll capture Bastila, which is why you have to fight her on the unknown planet. But yeah, you got the very convoluted story down. Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's so bad.
I mean, I've got to say, like, as a story goes, I mean, it's pretty good for a video game story. But as a trying to explain it goes, I mean, I'm pretty sure they were just like, oh, this will be an interesting plot beat, so we're just going to put it in there. And they didn't care if it made any sense in the sort of grander picture. So, that's what this is.
Yeah, and
it's a good game.
Aren't all of these like extended universe things all retcon now?
So they're quote-unquote legends, which means essentially they probably didn't happen, but we're technically not saying that they definitely didn't happen, which basically means Disney can just rip off the extended universe if they want, but mostly they just ignore it. So we
Great.
do know one thing.
So they just get to pussyfoot around it for
Basically, yeah.
however long they want. They get a profit
Hmm.
off it. Of course.
Exactly.
Of
So
course.
the name Revan is canon. There is a Revan in the Disney Star Wars canon,
In the
but nothing
Disney
else. But we don't know if any of this story I just told you is canon anymore. We just know that the name Revan is canon.
exists.
It exists. There was a Revan. That's what we know.
And who confirmed that Revan was still a thing?
Some Disney rep was like, "Hey, I think Disney might have put out a timeline or something or an article.
Oh,
I
of
don't remember
course
exactly
they
what."
did. Disney just wants to ruin everything, dude.
Ugh, Disney, man. I mean, I gotta say, as much as I get why they didn't want Legends because it would get in the way. I mean, honestly, some of the Legend stuff is better than the sequel trilogy. Not all. Let me emphasize. A lot of like the extended universe pre-Disney was very, very bad, but some of it was interesting and good. So it's disappointing that they would just write off the entire thing.
Yeah, I got you. My favorite franchise has always kept the comic book continuity and the game continuity separate.
Yeah,
So
that was I mean, I don't know if you could do that with Star Wars, though. I'm not sure. Because Star Wars is full of people who love continuity. That's the big thing Star Wars fans love. Is they're like, but where does it fit in the timeline? So they would have all been really angry if Disney had created a new timeline.
yeah,
Then again, they got angry anyway. So I mean, I don't. You're kind of right. They probably
you're
should have
never
just did that
going to
anyway.
please a Star Wars fan. Star Wars
I
fans
mean,
are fans
listen.
that you will never please.
I mean, I want to be completely honest with you. As a Star Wars fan, it's hard to please me. I mean,
There's always
that's
gonna be something that is so incredibly wrong that death to Disney, and we're gonna go raid Walt Disney's grave, and we're gonna dig it up, and we're gonna hang it on a
boycott the
pike.
movie. Sounds about right.
There's always something in the Star Wars fandom that people are making a stink about.
There really, really, really is, isn't there? I'm trying to think of a time when the Star Wars fandom wasn't angry. And I can only think of before when we heard there was going to be a new Star Wars movie. Before the previews, before the movie, but when we heard there was going to be a new movie, everyone was excited, right?
So would this be before the sequels or before the prequels?
This would be the sequels. When they announced they were going to make the movie, not the preview caused a lot of negativity, but when they announced there will be a new movie, there was excitement, genuine excitement and happiness among the fandom, and that was probably the last time. Because as soon as the preview came out, they're all like, "Oh, this doesn't look any good. What's wrong with emo Darth Vader?" Which I don't necessarily disagree with, but yeah, that's probably the last time the Star Wars fandom was happy.
So, from my understanding, the only points where the Star Wars fandom was actually pleased with the content, okay, is when the sequels were announced to be in production.
Yep.
When the prequels were announced to be in production.
Exactly. Yep.
And then late 80s. And then that's it.
Exactly. I'm glad you grasped it so clearly. That's about right. That's about right. Now, a lot of Star Wars fans have their favorite little extended universe characters. I myself like a few characters who are not technically canon. But yeah, in terms of a time when, as a Star Wars fan, I'm happy, it's pretty rare. You're usually just kind of,
Yeah, as a Sonic fan, our fandom, it's usually just based off self-deprecating and self-hating individuals, because we have been so starved for a game that we're just waiting, and it hurts.
What about the unironic OC creators? And
the unironic OC creators are way overblown. It's a meme. It's like it's like
oh,
saying,
it's a meme.
Yeah, everybody makes fun. You don't understand. The Sonic fandom makes fun of itself.
How is it if they're so overblown that if I search up literally any name and then the Hedgehog, there's fan art?
Because losers on DeviantArt, dude.
They're part of the Sonic fandom too, Andrew.
It sucks. It sucks because then again, you have the Star Wars fans who will raid conventions and stuff, so...
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not saying the Star Wars fandom is a beacon of greatness and, purity. But, yeah, still, it's very funny to look up any name and then the Hedgehog.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Oh, man.
It's so funny.
I remember... Oh, yeah, continue.
Oh, no, I was gonna say you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, fine. Basically, So you know Sebastian, right?
Yeah,
Back in
yeah,
seventh
yeah.
grade, seventh grade, he was very uptight. And Thomas, because Thomas and Sebastian really wanted each other's throats back then. They've reconciled recently, but they used to really hate each other. And Thomas really wanted to freak Sebastian out, so we looked up Sebastian the Hedgehog, and that did the trick. That definitely did the trick.
Dude, the people who do that scare me.
Mm.
Like,
I mean,
legitimately.
I don't understand it though. That being said, though, don't underestimate the power of the Star Wars fandom to create their own original characters. Ugh.
I would assume I find the Star Wars characters just as cringy because again, they give themselves all of these random force powers, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I gotta admit, like, nothing to me is quite as cringy as drawing yourself as an anthropomorphic hedgehog from a video game series that hasn't been good in 20 years consistently.
Well,
But
okay, you put in the consistently. You put in the
yeah,
consistently.
I didn't want to, I like Generations. Okay? Okay. But yeah, no, but it's very cringeworthy because they're all like, best friends with Luke Skywalker, and it's just ooh, big ooh.
Yeah, it's off-putting. I mean, when you're looking at OCs, I think the reason people make OCs of Sonic characters is because of the highly adaptable art style that
Nothing
comes with the character.
personnel, kid.
Teleports behind you.
I hate you, Father.
Father, why?
Oh man, I can't wait till you try and explain some Sonic lore to me. Because you see, the thing is, say what you about Star Wars lore, at least they're all like characters who are like living beings. You know what I mean? They're like you're gonna try and tell me this super dramatic storyline about anthropomorphic hedgehog, and I can't wait.
Well, I mean, to be quite honest, I think the characterization in pretty much everything past issue 160, when the actual decent writer comes in, is
What about my boy Ken Penders?
We will get to Ken Penders, dude. We will talk about Ken Penders one day. I promise you. I think I am. So for those who are listening in on the show, pretty much we're going to be switching off franchises every week. So by this time next week, we're going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog lore. And then after that, we're gonna be going back to whatever Star Wars is.
Oh yeah, now we still got a few thousand years to work through, Auntie. Don't you worry.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh, we could even go back in time a little further if you wanted to talk about the Great Hyperspace War.
Yeah,
and,
we're gonna go back to the
Exarchane.
freaking dinosaur age. Is what we're gonna go back to.
Oh, you want to go back to when the order was called the Jedi Order, and they all fought with sticks on a planet Tython? Yeah, you want to go back there,
Stop.
Andy? We can do that.
Make it stop. What is any of that?
It never ends. You will always find more. You know what the best part is? When we eventually catch up with the movies, I could just go right past the movies to the extended universe after, and the Yuuzhan Vong and Admiral Thrawn and the New Empire. Oh, and the other stuff. And Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker gets a wife in the extended universe. That's a thing.
Dang, dude. Like
I know you're confused, Andrew.
He gets closure.
Mm.
So you're telling me he's not a hermit on an island milking aliens?
No, in basically extended universe, Luke Skywalker is essentially this like galaxy-breaking power. He's broken, right? He can do whatever he wants. He's super strong in the Force. He can like throw entire planets around. He can fight entire Sith armies and stuff. Extended universe, Luke Skywalker is super powerful, right?
I see.
Yeah.
I mean that's cool. Going on to next week, I think I'm gonna start with an actual Ken Penders story.
Oh my! That's
for
risky.
you.
Risky.
I haven't read it yet. And I'm doing it just for chronology's sake. But there was like this one huge arc called the Endgame arc, and we'll get into it last time, I think. But it was like one of the only almost decent stories that Ken Penders wrote. And then that arc is like issues 58 to like 63 or something. And then everything after that is classic Ken Penders garbage. And
that's what you're there for, though. Let's be honest. If you see Ken Penders is writing something, buy it just to laugh at it.
I mean, I have I have purposely stayed away from that heathen, from that horrid author, because I do not want to get into the point where the stories just get bad. Because one look, because even he's in this era of Archie Sonic, if you go into the Compenders era, it's not only when the writing gets bad, it's when the art gets bad too. All right, because Compenders was also drawing.
Oh, what a Chad!
So not
That
only
reminds me
he
that reminds
was
me of
like the
Image Comics.
dictator of Archie Sonic. Okay, he was the artist and he was the writer, and the art is so astronomically awful. The dude's shading, he pretty much just blots something out in black and then lowers the opacity.
Nice.
And like all of the characters' mouths when they're talking are like triangles. It's so weird. It's so off-putting. And he makes everybody's hair longer, and it's so bad. It's so bad.
I couldn't imagine the video games making their characters edgier or having bad graphics.
I wonder who would have come up with that.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
That's a good meme. That's a good meme. Dude, we gotta play that together. We gotta play that together.
We have to. Oh my god, it's like Sonic 06 Shadow the Hedgehog. Man, you just gotta play it.
Dude, when Jay Inslee lets us out of our cages, that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, by the way, actually that reminds me of one thing. So, basically, so you know how Shadow says, "Where's that fourth Chaos Emerald?"
Oi! We're on radio. What? I gotta edit
fine.
that out now.
Fine. Where's that darn fourth Chaos Emerald? Remember?
Okay.
Well, basically, every time a character needs to swear in KOTOR, they just say "darn." Every time.
Nice.
I mean, darn's not what they say, but you know what they say.
Yeah. So, I have to mark that down now, you fool. I need to go back and edit that.
Oh, it's deeply unfortunate. I'm a loose cannon, Andrew. You can't stop me.
Should I just replace it with like the screaming man meme?
Oh, just a good one.
Just like in the middle of a calm podcast, just go ah.
That sounds about right. That's just Andrew trying to understand this bizarre story.
It's so weird. Like my thoughts on it are there are too many moving pieces. Because it's cool to have moving pieces in your story, right? Then you see how they progress and whatnot. But not when you have like 80 moving pieces. It's not. This story is like a freaking Rubik's cube.
I mean, I will say one thing, which is that the game. So I'm throwing all this lore at you basically at once. But like, for example, the game just starts with you having no memory, and it slowly reveals the story throughout the game. So it's actually a good game. Would recommend it, and the story is pretty good. But I'm also including some stuff that isn't included in the game. So yeah, I'm throwing a ton of lore. But in fairness to the game, it is a bit more controlled.
Understood. Okay, so we're about an hour in. I think that's the most we're gonna milk out of KOTOR's story today.
Sounds about right. But you know what's in KOTOR too?
Oh no.
There's 3 Sith Lords, one of whom is literally too angry to die.
No. No.
Yeah.
All right, finish what you were gonna say.
Well, so there's a bunch of villains, and I'll talk about them. But one of them is literally too angry to die. Like, he's a zombie, he's dead, his body is decayed, but he's just so angry he can't die.
That's so stupid.
I mean, it's kind of funny though. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm so angry. I didn't step on my wife today.
What? Okay. I don't think he has a wife. I'm not gonna lie. If you look him up, you'll see. You'll see.
I don't even want to. I don't know what kind of cringy Star Wars subreddit I'm gonna be linked to now that I mean,
usually it's just r/KOTOR, I would think, but you know.
Oh no. What were the other two?
There's one guy who's just so hungry he consumes planets.
Bruh.
And then there's one who I can't get into her because she's kind of a spoiler. So talk about that next time.
All right. Well, Harry, would you like to give your final thoughts today?
KOTOR's good. You should play it. The story is convoluted if you actually try and understand the entire. But the game's good, and I'm excited to see you try and explain a Ken Pender story.
All right. I suppose my final thoughts are I never want to go through that again. I don't know what I just went through, but I think I kind of got it.
All right. Good, good,
And
good.
and I better have something to laugh at next week or in 2 weeks. I better have something to
Mm.
laugh at. And I
I mean,
promise you guys, the thing that I'm going to talk about next week, there are basic competency issues with the characters
oh,
that
basic. I think that's generous there, buddy.
basic competency issues that come up because of Ken Pender's weird style of dialogue.
Oh,
And
I'm excited.
it is that is the sole reason that it's confusing. There are weird character moments. There's a murder, okay?
Wait, there's murder in a
Eh,
Sonic comic?
yeah.
Ooh, we gotta
Yeah.
have that.
Someone
Are there
dies.
guns? Are there guns?
If you count Eggman's blasters, I guess so.
Also, I want one thing you just need to explain to me is that weird, like French rodent who's like Sonic's competing love interest with Sally or whatever.
He's not a competing love interest.
Don't
He's a
understand him.
wolf.
But Ken
Antoine
Penders
is a
told
good
me.
character. What are you talking
Ken
about?
Penders told me. Ken Penders gave an interview where he said they were competing love interests. So
No,
listen, I don't know.
dude. That's
I don't know any
that's
of this.
Joffrey St. John, dude. He's
Oh.
Australian.
Okay, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, we'll get to Jeffrey at some point.
Please explain this to me, 'cause
we'll
I
get to
don't
Big
know.
Joff at some point, dude. We will
This
get
is
to
so-
him.
You think my story's confusing? You're like, no, it's not the French wolf, it's the Australian. Obviously, how could I have been so stupid?
How could I have been so blind?
It's so obvious. Who else would be Sonic's competing love interest than an Australian rodent?
He's a skunk.
He's a skunk?
Yeah, he's a skunk.
But does he look like a skunk? Does he have that black and white color scheme?
Yeah, he does. He does.
I don't know. It feels like that would, be a disadvantage. Make you stand out a bit.
I don't know, dude. We will talk about all of that next week. Harry, thank you for joining me in this hour of survival.
All right.
And I would like to thank you, dear listener, if you managed to stay awake through any of that.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I loved your storytelling, Harry, but unfortunately it's going to have to come to an end here.
Very sad.
Again, thank you all so much for listening. If you did enjoy this little podcast type of thing, I'll be posting it to Spotify, possibly to YouTube as well. And I just want to thank you all so much for listening. And Harry, do you have something to say?
No. I'm glad I could get that off my chest, and I'm excited to see you try and explain the Sonic comics. Though I will warn you that I will have a lot of questions.
I hope you do. I think that will make for a better show.
Yeah, because listen, I can convoluted Star Wars stories, great, I'm fine, but Sonic comics, they confuse me a lot.
Oh, we will get into those.
All right.
Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. Again, support this radio station. If you really did enjoy it, wash your hands, wipe your butt. Don't lick the toilet seats at your local Taco Bell. And have a good one, guys.